My son-in-law stood in my doorway, waving papers and saying he'd take care of my car now that I was retired. I smiled, knowing what he didn't, that I'd already moved everything beyond his reach. The storm that followed? It started with one knock and ended with a badge. The evening light draped my backyard in gold, the kind that makes even the rust on the swing chains look romantic. Naomi had strung paper lanterns between the crepe myrtles, their glow soft and low. Neighbors wandered in with pound cake, ribs, and that easy Southern talk that floats between laughter and gossip. I just retired after 40 years teaching art to children who mostly wanted recess. I told Red Delaney, who brought his folding chair and his grin. "I've never been off the clock." "Red," he chuckled. "That's what keeps you young, Miss Maddie." I smiled, sipping sweet tea that had steeped too long, the way I liked it. My husband's car, the old blue sedan, sat gleaming in the driveway, his last promise that I'd never be stranded in this world. The music quieted when Darius tapped his glass. My son-in-law always liked a stage. He smiled for the crowd, voice smooth as butter. "Let's be practical, folks," he began, thanking me for raising Naomi. His rock. People clapped politely. Then, without blinking, he dropped it. "We'll handle Mom's to-dos now, first off. We'll sell that old sedan. Oh, she doesn't need to be driving." The laughter that followed wasn't real. Naomi's hand tightened around her cup, eyes darting anywhere but mine. My face didn't move, though my pulse did. I'd learned long ago that women my age and color don't shout. They calculate. "Darius," I said softly, "I'll decide what I need." He chuckled, light and loud. "All love, Mom." Then he turned to someone else, still talking over me like I was wallpaper. I kept my smile where everyone could see it. Later, when the cake was gone and the streetlights hummed, Naomi helped me stack plates. "He didn't mean it like that," she whispered. "Baby," I told her, "meaning rides shotgun. Behavior drives." Darius lingered by the hallway where my keys sat in a little ceramic bowl. "You've got boxes piled up." "Mom," he called, "I'll declutter the garage tomorrow, safety first." I watched his reflection in the kitchen window. "Don't worry about my clutter," I said. He gave a porch-light hug for show and left smelling like his expensive cologne. After they'd gone, the quiet was loud. I counted spoons, an old habit from leaner years, and noticed one thing missing. Not a spoon, a key, the spare fob for the sedan. I checked the dish, the drawer, the hook by the laundry room. Nothing. I've never misplaced anything important in my life. I stood there in my robe, whispering, not messy, not forgetful. I replayed the evening, his hand in his pocket, the way Naomi apologized without looking at me. My chest tightened, but I kept my breath even. I took out my old spiral notebook, the one from my teaching days, and wrote, 7:42 p.m. Guests gone. Darius last to leave. Missing. Spare key. I wrote it like a lesson plan. Then I took photos of the bowl, the empty hook, the garage door. Evidence, not emotion. I texted Red. "You still keep that receipt box?" He replied fast. "Always." "You good?" I answered. "I'm awake." I placed the main fob in my robe pocket and set the robe on the chair beside my bed. You don't sleep scared at my age? You sleep ready. The wind picked up outside, shaking the oak leaves like restless thoughts. Somewhere, a car door shut in the distance. I reached for my pocket. The key was still there, cool against my palm, lying back. I thought of my husband polishing that sedan every Saturday morning, saying, "Freedom runs better with oil changes." I smiled in the dark. "If he thinks I'm slow," I murmured. "He's late." Ma, by morning, the porch light clicked on, even though no one moved outside. I took it as a sign, the house breathing with me. waiting for whatever came next. Sherman was already waiting when I stepped out with my coffee. He stood by the mailbox, cap in hand, looking like he'd been rehearsing bad news all night. "Didn't sleep worth a dime." "Maddie," he said. I motioned him to the porch swing. The morning air still smelled of rain, but under it was something sour, like worry gone stale. "Spit it out," I told him. He hesitated, then said, "I saw Darius at the DMV yesterday. Folder in hand, talking low to some clerk. He paid for something, card tap. Quick like he didn't want folks noticing." I sat still, the porch creaking under me. "You sure it was the DMV?" "Positive." I was renewing my truck tags. Saw him snap a picture of the window sign. "Title and transfer." Then he left, eyes on the ground. "Did you catch the clerk's name?" "Badge started with a B. Maybe Beatrice." I nodded, my jaw tight. "I'm not making a scene. Red. I'm making a record." "Yes, ma'am," he said softly. "I'll write a statement if you want it." By the time he left, I'd already planned my day. I tucked the main fob into my jacket pocket, muttering, "If he thinks I'm slow, he's late." I moved through my kitchen like a detective in her own house. Photos, key bowl, hallway, time-stamped. I opened the safe, pulled my title copy and registration, slid them into a blue folder. I added my insurance card, notebook, pen, and a sticky note that read, "Trust your eyes, Maddie." I texted Naomi, "Running errands," and her heart emoji reply felt as hollow as a church echo. Coffee, flat shoes, light jacket. Women my age don't rush. We endure. At the DMV, the air buzzed with that special kind of government fatigue. The number printer spit out B01 Sefemin, and I sat where I could see everything: doors, counters, people. I scanned the clerks. One older man, a tall lady with braids, and a petite woman with a name tag that read Klein. She was the one Sherman meant. When my number blinked, I stood slow, deliberate. "Good morning, Miss Klein," I said. "I'm here to confirm the status of my vehicle title and any transfer activity." She took my ID, typed, frowned, then typed again. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "a transfer was filed last month on this vehicle." The words felt cold, clean, surgical. "Who filed it?" I asked. "I can only give you the date, time, and window number," she said, eyes kind but wary. "Then print what you can." I replied. She did. I photographed it right there, the timestamp clear on my phone. "I'm documenting possible elder exploitation," I told her softly. "Not asking for favors, just the truth." Her voice lowered. "You may want Form 502R for records, and maybe talk to your attorney." "Does your system show a scan document type?" She nodded toward a code, SDPOA, Power of Attorney. I whispered, "Got it." I thanked her, tucked the paper into my folder, and walked out steady. No tears. Not for this. Outside, sunlight hit like interrogation. The parking lot shimmered. A truck idled 2 rows over, engine humming low. The same cologne from my hallway drifted on the wind. I didn't look. I just unlocked my car, placed the blue folder on the seat, and started the engine. My phone buzzed, a voicemail from Jonas, my attorney. "Maddie, I got your email. We need to talk today." In my rear view, a man stepped from the truck and raised his phone, snapping a picture of my plate. I smiled to myself. "All right then," I murmured. "We're doing this on paper." The white envelope waited on the porch swing, my name printed in block letters like a warning label. No return address, just a South Carolina stamp from 2 days back. I slid it open with a butter knife. Inside lay a photocopy of a power of attorney, my name spelled right, but the signature too neat, too young, like someone trying to imitate steadiness they didn't earn. The notary stamp came from a county I'd only passed through once, the seal faint and uneven. Dated last month, the same week Darius visited the DMV. My chest didn't burn, it chilled. Thieves, today, prefer paper. I took photos of each page, one by one, timestamp clear, then slid the copy into a plastic sleeve and locked it in my safe. At my kitchen table, I drew a grid on yellow paper. What, where, when, who, proof. I filled the squares, missing key fob, DMV print, envelope, signature slant. I compared the forged flourish to my real hand on an old deed, mine tilted right, letters loose with time. This one leaned left, tight with youth. That difference was its confession. I brewed a new pot of coffee, opened my notes app, and listed questions for Jonas Ryland, my lawyer since my husband passed. I scanned the text of the fake POA, broad powers for vehicles, accounts, even property. Greedy hands like Darius never stop at one grab. I whispered to myself, no confrontation, paper first, people later. When Jonas answered, his calm voice steadied me. "Mrs. Crenshaw, your documentation is meticulous," he said. I smiled faintly. 40 years teaching taught me how to grade work. He confirmed my suspicion. South Carolina requires an in-person notary unless remote logs exist. "This seal's invalid," he said. "Likely forged or misfiled. We'll freeze any transactions, void the POA, and send formal revocations." He promised to email draft letters by day's end. I told him, "Make them sharp and polite. We'll let the paper sting." After we hung up, I moved like clockwork, scanned the document, saved copies to USB and email. My blue binder became a case file, tabs marked DMV, POA, witness, timeline. I printed a checklist, bank notarization, certified mail, Naomi call, later. Then I texted Sherman, 3 p.m. porch. Need your notes. His reply came quick, already writing them down. I called Naomi, soft but firm. "I'm fine, baby, handling paperwork." "Is this about Darius?" she asked, voice small. "It's about protecting what your daddy left," I said. "We'll talk when it's done. I can come over." "Not today." My tone left no cracks. Love with boundaries still counts. "We'll use our inside voices and outside paperwork." She sighed. "I'm sorry about last night." "Then let's both do better tomorrow," I said and hung up. Sherman arrived right on time. He wrote his statement under my ceiling fan, sweat darkening his cap brim. His handwriting was plain, solid. Saw Darius Holt at DMV title window. Saturday, 2:30 p.m., folder in hand, took photo. He signed, dated, and slid it across the table. I snapped a photo for the binder. "You ain't alone, Maddie," he said. "This house keeps score," I answered. By sunset, Jonas's email arrived with legal drafts, affidavit of revocation, DMV notice, bank hold order. I printed them all, lined them up by the door. My printer whirred one more time, spitting an extra sheet, Jonas's note at the bottom, FYI. "The notary who signed your POA died 2 years ago." The world tilted quiet. My phone buzzed just once, Darius's name flashing. His text read, "Mom, don't make this bigger than it is." I looked at the words. Let them sit. Then I took a photo of the lock screen and whispered, "Oh, honey, it's already bigger than you think." The morning broke soft and gray, mist on the windows, the kind of quiet that lets you think. I reached the credit union before the doors unlocked, blue binder pressed to my chest like a shield. "Morning, Miss Crenshaw," the teller called, and I smiled back. Inside, I asked for the notary, unwrapped my pen, and signed the affidavit of revocation with slow precision. The notary's stamp landed sharp and clean, I asked for certified copies, and the manager herself scanned and emailed PDFs to my address. "Extra fences never hurt," I said. Then I requested a small cashier's check for legal fees, symbolic, but it made me feel fenced in properly. Before I left, I scheduled a phone slot with Jonas at 10, using the manager's office for privacy. I texted Naomi, just one line, "Paperwork morning. I'm fine, no invitation, no apology." At 10 on the dot, Jonas came through the speaker. "You ready to lock this down, Mrs. Crenshaw?" he asked. "Been ready since Sunday," I answered. He outlined the shift, move my accounts, my home title, and pension funds under the Crenshaw Family Trust. It would wall off everything Darius could touch. "It's a door he can't open with a cheap key," Jonas said. We added new trustees, no family this time, and I signed the draft deed right in front of the bank's notary. By noon, copies sat in my binder, stamped and sealed. Jonas fired off hold letters to every bank and the DMV. I watched each email copy land in my inbox like steady artillery. When I walked out, I felt taller. Paper armor weighs less than fear. At the post office, I mailed certified envelopes, DMV, county clerk, attorney copies, all tracked and logged in my spiral notebook. The clerk smiled. "You sure are organized." "That's how I breathe," I told her. Back home, I filed the new trust certificate into the safe and placed another copy in the credit union's lockbox. Then I brewed tea and stared at the key fob resting on the counter. That car wasn't just metal. It was my late husband's rhythm, the hum of our road trips, his cologne faint on the steering wheel. I whispered, "You'd want it driven, not hoarded." That's when I thought of Anissa Lorraine, one of my old students. She cleaned houses now, raising her little girl, always sending thank you notes written in looping cursive. She'd just gotten a job clear across town and spent 2 hours on the bus every day. I called her. "Baby, you busy this evening?" She hesitated. "Miss Crenshaw." "I don't want to trouble you," I said softly. "I'm not offering trouble. I'm offering time." I printed a bill of sale for $10, Jonas's template, and laid it beside the title, "Ready for ink and rain." By dusk, thunder rolled low. Anissa arrived in a second-hand raincoat, dripping, nervous, clutching her purse like a shield. We sat at my kitchen table. "This car's yours now," I said. She tried to refuse, tears catching her voice. "You're not taking," I told her. "I'm giving." "That's different." We signed line by line. I verified her license, stamped the copy, and called my insurer to add temporary coverage. Then I placed the key fob in her palm. "It carried my family," I said. "Now it'll carry yours." Outside, rain softened to a steady hymn. I booked her DMV appointment for the next morning, texted the checklist, license, insurance letter, gift bill. We checked the lights and wipers, and she promised to keep the car clean and get her daughter to school on time. That's wealth. I smiled. We shared one umbrella, both of us wet but grinning. When she drove off, headlights gliding into the storm, I whispered to the night, "We're still doing right." Back inside, I scanned every signed paper and uploaded them to the binder folder. Jonas's email came through. Trust recorded, county stamp attached. I smiled until my phone buzzed. Darius, texting Naomi, "Where's the car?" I didn't answer. I logged the time and said quietly, "He's chasing a ghost." Then came the knock, 3 hard pounds, then the rattle of my doorknob, like someone testing ownership. The first knock had been hard. The second came meaner, shaking the frame like it owned something inside. I slipped my phone from the counter, hit record, and tucked it spine up into my shirt pocket, red light outward. "Identify yourself," I said through the wood. "Open up, Maddie, we need the keys." "Now." Darius's voice carried that fake calm men use before they start shouting. I kept the chain latched, cracked the door 2 inches. "This property's under camera and audio," I said evenly. Jonas had taught me that phrase, word for word. Darius leaned close, waving humidity and arrogance through the gap. "Naomi said it's fine." I met his eyes. "She doesn't own this house. Neither do you." He shoved the door just enough to rattle the chain. "Back off or leave," I warned. His nostrils flared. He slid a crumpled paper toward me. Power of attorney, signed and sealed. I glanced once, noting the faint seal and a name I'd already buried, our notary who died 2 years back. "That's a ghost signature." "Darius," I said, calm as a sermon. He called me confused. I smiled. Confused people don't file revocations before breakfast. I slid Jonas's business card through the gap. "All further contact goes there." His hand twitched like he wanted to push again. The chain bit the jamb. I shut the door, locked the deadbolt, and sent Jonas the audio file with a short note. Attempted entry, recorded. 20 minutes later, blue and red light feathered across the blinds. Welfare check. He'd made good on his threat. 2 officers stood on my porch, one young and eager, one old enough to know better. I turned on every light, opened the door without fear. "Good evening, gentlemen. ID's right here." My voice didn't shake. I invited them into the living room, nothing more. Bedroom doors closed, privacy intact. "Ma'am, we got a call expressing concern." The older one said, "I'm sure," I replied. "Here's my attorney's card and tonight's paperwork." I laid out the notarized revocation, the trust certificate, and a 1-page timeline printed fresh. They read, glanced at each other, then at me. "You've handled this right," he said quietly. I asked for an incident number. He handed me a card. I wrote it in my log, the pen steady. When the cruisers pulled away, Naomi's headlights replaced them. She came up the steps, eyes wide, hair still damp. "Mama, what's happening?" she asked. "Your husband called the police on me to get in this house," I said plainly. She started. "He's just stressed. Stress doesn't forge papers." "Baby." I poured tea because manners don't quit just because patience does. She sat, silent, as I placed the trust certificate between us. "You can stay here tonight," I said. "He cannot step on my porch." She nodded, texting under the table. The sound of rain started again, soft but constant. Then my phone buzzed, fraud alert. Attempted access to my savings denied. I put it on speaker. The bank rep's tone was crisp. "We flagged a POA upload, rejected under your trust protection." "When?" I asked. 10 minutes after police arrival." I wrote every detail, time, case number, employee ID. "Thank you, Ms. Crenshaw," she said. "You've got a strong file." "I intend to keep it that way." I hung up and looked at Naomi, her face pale as the paper in my hands. "That's what a wall of paper's for," I said. "So the wind hits something." Naomi's eyes filled. "He said it was just for us, to move things faster." I shook my head. "Faster isn't the same as right." I softened. "You can love him, but don't follow him," she whispered. "I'll fix this. Start with yourself, honey. Then your marriage." I handed her the guest room quilt, told her the rules. No keys leave the bowl. No calls he can overhear. "Tomorrow is for grown-up choices," I said, kissing her cheek. When the house quieted, I sat in the kitchen with sweet tea, logged every detail, officers' names, badge numbers, time of call. My phone buzzed again, a photo of my license plate, captioned, "You forgot something." Then a calendar invite, family meeting, 9 a.m. Organizer, Darius Holt. I hit accept and copied Jonas. His reply landed fast. Notary log shows no entry under your name that month. I smiled at the screen, ironed my blouse for the morning, and whispered to the empty house. I didn't come to argue. I came to end it. I parked right beneath the community room's camera, jotting the time and weather in my log. Jonas met me at the door, navy suit pressed, calm as a Sunday usher. I'll handle the statutes, he murmured. You handle the story. Inside, Darius sat at the head of the folding table, posture rehearsed. Naomi hovered 2 seats down, eyes swollen but dry. Loretta from the HOA perched between them, clutching her tablet like a gavel. Darius began his sermon. We're here to protect Mom. She's been confused lately. He slid a folder labeled Power of Attorney. I placed my blue binder down, thick, tabbed, humming with evidence, and said, This meeting's being documented for clarity. No one argued. He leaned forward, tone dripping concern. You called the cops on your own family. Maddie. I kept my hands folded. No, Darius. You called them on me. He chuckled under his breath. We just want to make sure you're safe. Then why forge safety into paperwork? I asked. He blinked. Excuse me? I pushed copies across the table. Police incident report, timestamps, officer names. Wellness check cleared, no confusion noted. Jonas added. She's competent and legally sound. Let's stay factual. Darius's smile cracked. The car and house are family property, I said. Neither carries your name. He opened the POA copy. I read the notary aloud, then added, That woman's been dead since 2022. Loretta's pen froze mid-air. Jonas lifted an HDMI cable. Let's add context. Darius scoffed. You brought slides? Evidence, Jonas corrected. The TV flickered on. My phone mirrored. Screenshots appeared. Darius's group chat about flipping the title. Moving her to assisted. Liquidate by Wednesday. Naomi gasped softly. You told me this was about her safety. His jaw tightened. Jonas clicked next. My bank's fraud alert. Time-stamped minutes after police departure. Metadata glowed beside it. Out of context, Darius muttered. Then explain the pattern, Jonas said. Silence stretched long enough for the AC to kick back on. I opened my binder, revealing the trust certificate. Everything's in the Crenshaw family trust. I'm trustee. You're not, Jonas explained, clear as daylight. A recorded trust outranks any POA, valid or not. I handed certified copies of the DMV revocation and gift bill of sale. The car went to someone who needed it more. Naomi exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. Loretta noted for the minutes. Car transferred, documentation verified. Darius bounced his knee, eyes darting to the door. Let's add one more voice, I said, playing the recording from last night, his own. We need the keys. Now, I'll call the cops. Loretta flinched. Darius lunged for the remote. Jonas raised a palm. Touch it, and this becomes evidence tampering. Naomi whispered, You told me we had to take control. His silence confirmed everything. Jonas slid a paper across. Cease and desist. Protective order possible. I added softly. No entry, no calls, no lies dressed as care. Naomi stood, purse in hand. I'm leaving with my mother. Darius's face flushed. You're breaking this family. Family doesn't break people to hold power, I said. I placed a sealed envelope on the table. Clerk's stamp crisp. For your records. The notary's log. No entry for my name. His skin went gray. Loretta whispered, That settles it. I closed my binder, stood, and told Naomi, Let's go. As we stepped into the elevator, her phone lit. New account opened in your name? I pressed the button marked Lobby and said, We're going straight to the branch. The bank's glass doors hissed open, and cool air met the heat still clinging to my collar. Naomi's phone was trembling in her hand, the fraud alert frozen on the screen. We walk in calm, I said. Facts first, feelings second. The teller led us to a glass cubicle where a fraud specialist waited with a tablet. Naomi authorized me to sit in. I laid out my notebook, every incident number already written. The rep scrolled, frowned, and said, "New account opened at 8:41 this morning. Funding source. Card ending 2261. You recognize that?" Naomi shook her head, pale. I leaned in. "Please pull the IP and device ID." She nodded and stepped out to escalate. I whispered, "Breathe. Baby." Paper beats panic. She repeated it until her shoulders dropped. When the rep returned, the freeze was done. Naomi signed the affidavit. Copies went into our blue binder. The fraud team called back with the IP trace, Naomi's own Wi-Fi. My pen stopped mid-note. "So the device was inside her apartment," I said evenly. The rep confirmed, "Yes, same router as your prior login." Naomi covered her face. "He used our Wi-Fi." I placed a hand on hers. Steady, not soft. "Then we'll use the truth." We requested ATM camera pulls for the linked debit attempt. I called Officer Rollins, gave her the case number. "That's enough for a warrant if tied to his phone," she said. Naomi straightened slightly, repeating my rhythm as I dictated every timestamp into the log. She was learning the choreography of defense. Then Darius walked in like a storm in church shoes. "Mom, why are you doing this?" His voice carried across marble. I didn't move. "We're handling Naomi's fraud alert. You're not part of this." He flashed the same photocopied POA. The branch manager appeared beside him. "Sir, that document is void under current hold letters." Naomi rose halfway. "Leave. Darius," he hissed. "You owe me loyalty," I said. "She owes herself peace." Security shifted closer. He jabbed a finger at me. "This isn't over." "No," I said. "It's documented." He left to a silence heavy as a slammed vault. In the car, Jonas's voice came through my speaker. Perfect. Stackable evidence. Within minutes, he'd emailed cease and desist notices to Darius, the HOA, and apartment management. We printed copies at home. I signed Naomi's witness page. She bought a prepaid phone, new SIM, reset every password. Officer Rollins met us for a civil standby while Naomi packed clothes and prescriptions. Back at my bungalow, I laid out the house rules again. Locks, logs, quiet. She repeated each one, anchoring herself in structure. By afternoon, community ripples began. Loretta's email summary was clean and neutral, but reading between the lines, it favored me. A neighbor's sticky note waited on my mailbox. "Saw the squad cars? Proud of you? Miss Maddie," Pastor Elaine texted, "you're not alone in this valley." I forwarded everything to Jonas for the support file. Naomi sighed. "I thought they'd think I betrayed him." "Some will," I said, "but right folks call it survival." We swung by Anissa's clinic. She and little Sebastian waved from my old car, now theirs. Naomi's eyes softened seeing the sedan alive in new hands. "You gave away your freedom," she murmured. "No," I said. "I redirected it." Anissa hugged me. "Call if you need night watch." I smiled. "I think I already have one." By evening, Jonas filed the full fraud packet. Officer Rollins confirmed a case number. Naomi signed her affidavit with a steady hand. "Feels like getting my life back," she said. "Freedom's mostly paperwork," I answered. The house was quiet until a knock broke it. A process server stood on the porch. Papers for Madeline Crenshaw. Emergency petition for temporary guardianship. Petitioner, Darius Holt. I took it. Closed the door. Naomi's lips parted. I texted Jonas a photo. His reply blinked back. Good. We'll end this in daylight. I laid the envelope beside the binder and whispered, Tomorrow, we teach the difference between concern and control. The courthouse smelled faintly of floor wax and paper, both things I'd come to trust. I placed my blue binder and driver's license on the X-ray belt and told Naomi, we let the paper talk. Jonas joined us near security, sharp in his gray suit, carrying our stack, the neurocognitive screening. The supported decision agreement naming Naomi and Pastor Elaine for advice, not control. He handed me a folded note. You manage your life. You choose counsel. We practiced it once, sitting on a cold bench outside courtroom 3B. Officer Rollins gave me a nod from the corridor, that quiet kind of protection you don't have to request. Across the hall, Darius stood with his lawyer and that same dog-eared POA, smiling like a man sure the game was already won. The clerk called my name. My palms were dry. That felt like progress. The judge began calmly, Mr. Holt, explain your petition. Darius launched into performance. Words like confused, impulsive, needs oversight floating in the air like perfume gone bad. He mentioned my rash car giveaway. I leaned toward the microphone. I gave my car to a single mother whose son needs therapy. That was a choice, not confusion. Jonas submitted the bank logs, police report, and capacity letter. All accounts paid, all taxes current, he said. The judge raised a brow. Mr. Holt, where's the evidence of incapacity? Darius waved a phone screenshot of some bills, metadata dated last night. The clerk squinted. These were modified after midnight. The judge exhaled. Concern isn't control, sir. Show me harm, not drama. For once, Darius didn't have a script. Jonas stood again, methodical. Exhibit after exhibit hit the table. The fraud affidavit, IP log from Naomi's Wi-Fi, and the branch manager's memo confirming the forged account attempt. Officer Rollins testified briefly, straight posture, firm voice. Case opened for attempted financial exploitation of an elder. Jonas played 20 seconds of audio, Darius's voice demanding my bank card. The courtroom's silence tightened around him. I added, steady. That's not love. Your honor. That's leverage. The judge's tone cooled. Mr. Holt, did you open or attempt to open accounts under Miss Crenshaw's name? He dodged. That's all it took. Jonas requested fee shifting and a 1-year protective order. I caught Naomi's eye. She mouthed, It's over. The ruling came like sunrise through heavy blinds. Petition denied with prejudice. The court finds Ms. Crenshaw fully competent. Financial guardianship is unwarranted. Mr. Holt, you are ordered to pay respondents' legal fees. The gavel tapped. Additionally, a protective order shall issue. No impersonation, no contact for financial matters. Darius's jaw flexed, color rising in his neck. The bailiff's hand hovered near his belt. Not threat, just readiness. Naomi squeezed my hand. You okay, Mama? I smiled. Better than okay. We filed copies at the clerk's window, that blue binder closing with a sound like punctuation. Outside, sunlight painted the courthouse steps gold. Loretta Vance waited near the planter, holding an envelope. For the record, she said, handing me HOA minutes. Neutral report, but it hits hard. Behind her, Mr. Vick snapped a picture of Naomi and me. Church bulletin needs a happy ending. Across the plaza, Officer Rollins murmured into her radio, then returned. Warrants in. Bank Fraud Division will contact him today. 2 plainclothes officers approached Darius near the fountain. Naomi whispered. Is this justice? I said. No. This is daylight. By evening, home smelled like lemon oil and rotisserie chicken. Pastor Elaine prayed on the porch, blessing the house with her steady hands. Anissa stopped by with Sebastian, who stuck a gold star on my binder. I signed the fee shift form, added a scholarship clause to my will, and scheduled Naomi's security review. We ate dinner, laughing at nothing, the kind of laughter that means you survived something that almost named you broken. As dusk thinned, a patrol car rolled past, windows down. I texted Jonas. "Car stays with Anissa. Not a mistake. A legacy." Naomi leaned her head on my shoulder. "You kept your promise to yourself," I said. "And to you, love without leash." The blue binder sat on the mantel, gleaming under lamplight like a quiet trophy. My phone buzzed. Unknown courthouse number. I let it ring, smiled to myself, and whispered, "If it's daylight, they can leave a message." The porch light flickered once, twice, then a text slid onto my screen. "See you in probate court?" No number, just the words. Naomi froze mid-sip of tea. I looked out toward the dark street and smiled thinly. Daylight never lasts forever. What comes next might burn brighter, or burn down.